Hey guys. Okay, so I was reading this Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle recently. So a lot of you I know have at least heard about this. Actually, Tristan, my business partner, is the one who gifted this to us so that Steve could read it. And so I took a look at it, and it's actually opened up quite a can of worms because I think right now where we're kind of at is everybody is kind of wondering like the connection between manifesting and time travel, right? How did that happen? Where That's a big jump, right?
Yep.
It is a big jump, but like manifest fast with Jasmine, this is my world. Thank you. Welcome to my world. And like this is what you guys want. You want big jumps, right? So we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to kind of use what's in this book or the first few pages, and I'm going to kind of make some connections here between you know, Eckhart Tolle, who is a time traveler, just like the rest of us. I'm going to kind of illustrate that for you the best that I can in this video. And I'm going to kind of dissect and fill in some gaps that I see in what he's doing here in this wonderful, perfect, delicious, lovely. I love this book, but there's always more, right?
There's always more. Yeah.
So I have created kind of like a definition, I guess, of time traveler, which this is very rough, and I'm going to definitely be refining this in the future. But for now, let's just say this: time traveler, an identity one can choose. So you can choose your identities, manifest yourself into a state, and like be the person that you want to be, essentially. So this is an identity one can choose who possesses the abilities or powers to be fully conscious to the extent that enables you to be able to choose timelines, experiences, and realities to interact with. So, the key idea here that sounds like manifesting, right? Yeah, you get to choose your experiences, your realities, what you're manifesting, right? But this definition, like time traveler definition, it's just denotes and points to a fully deliberate conscious ability to do that, so that it's more like making the big jumps is easier to you. It's something that you can say, oh, okay, I want that, yes, we're going to go there. Oh, okay, I want that, yes, we're going to go there, instead of like this sort of mysterious thing that a lot of people experience manifesting as.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, well, a lot outside of the box of what people usually think of when they think of the word time traveler. And so that's where a lot of the confusion lies. It's the definition is reframed, but it's still the same. It's still the exact same thing. It's just from the way that you would define it with all of your experience as manifest or spiritual person.
Well, I think like an added facet to this is like understanding that this is all energetic work, and as you know, energy transcends time and space. So like time traveling is traversing it through your energy, not so much through your physical form, which might be like the misconstrued notion due to like how all these time travel stories are presented to us like this way, but really it is having a masterful focus on your energy to choose whichever reality you would want to go into, which will essentially create the life or the thing that you want to experience.
And that equals super life, right?
Yeah, that's what we're calling super life.
And
The
it's
life of a
funny
traveler.
because like Super Life, when Jazz and I started teaching it, like we were taught heavily about this concept of presence within the Power Now. Presence being like pure awareness, pure consciousness. And it requires the state of like stillness and relaxation where you can tap into a very good feeling place. And when you continue to feel into that state, your vibratory state will enhance and you'll have more pristine control of where you direct your energy.
Right. So a traveler it's about precision and control. Precision. It's really a degree of precision that you achieve. Hmm.
And deliberate control over your path through your realities. It's an adventure,
Right. So,
constant unfolding adventure, and you're the director.
and you're the actor and you're all of it. And you know how nowadays, like famous actors, they become like the director of the movie and they also still
That's
act
like
in
the
it.
ultimate, yeah.
Yeah.
Director, producer,
Right. The producer, the director. Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
Well, essentially being that artist, like life is an art form, so you get to design it
Correct.
however you want. You get to direct it. You get to create it. You get to play with like all these different mediums to create a pristine piece of art that you call your life. And like time traveling, as like grandiose as it may sound, is like really just an inner realization of like what we're really doing. It's just like an inner depth like contextualization. Like we're just building more context of like what we're doing as we focus on this energy work, on this practice of manifestation. And it's just that once you get to a point of understanding, it really is traversing different states of reality. So
I really love how it makes it so sound so fun though. The word time travel when you add it, in, it just makes the whole thing sound so fun, which is always really good to do to help keep something that is gonna it's gonna stick with you for life. Just like exercising and stuff. When you can turn it into a way of life, when you can make it very entertaining, you're naturally gonna continue down that path, progressing.
right, and ultimately, this journey is always like it's always about becoming your most authentic self. Like that's like literally the traveling to being the version of you that can
Mm-hmm.
step into your ideal reality. And it's like by taking on this identity of time traveler, you're choosing to be in a state where you can traverse any reality, but yet still very much be in your most authentic form. And like it's just like a huge liberated sensation that you will understand why you're in a different reality at each moment of a
Right.
time.
Why? Right. So that's a huge thing about going where you want to go is being able to reverse engineer how the hell you got where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why and how, all the things,
If you can
understanding.
reverse and reverse engineer and understand how you got here, now you can purify the process and create more precision and make the
And you
adjustments
use that
necessary
knowledge to get where else you want to go.
to get better at, okay, well, I understand what mistake I made there and I'm gonna fix it in this way and go here now. And so, right,
You approach it with a
Definitely.
childlike curiosity in a way.
with a childlike curiosity, right? Because
Absolutely.
if you just like hate, if you just like be so upset about where you are, like you're not going to have the intelligence or that you're not going to access your genius, right? So following your joy is how you access the genius that would allow you the skills to be able to reverse engineer and perfect and refine and get better. So
You're
childlike
an artist,
curiosity, yeah,
iterating.
yeah, right. So approaching life like an artist or a designer is a very like important, but I'll say like it's an extremely useful method to allow you to continue moving in the direction that you want.
Right, because you get to put your focus and attention on very specific details that you would like to experience in your life. So it's like, oh, well, I want to travel through a private jet. Like, what would that feel like? What is that energy signature? It's like, oh, I also want to like be with my specific person in this sort of context. Like, what is that like? And it's like you get to pick and choose and create your own journey of getting there.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the number of realities between, like, let's say point A and point Z, the number of realities between there that are seemingly unrelated that are totally just part of the path. And a lot of people are not able to do that because they become too fixated on one thing,
One specific reality.
which doesn't allow you to move forward. It keeps you back. So hold on. This brings us to the very first line in the introduction of this book, which says, I have little use for the past and rarely think about it. I'm like, this man is a traveler. He knows what's up. He's that's if he's doing something right, there it is, right there. That line, that was a theme for me for like one entire day, which for me a day is
Yeah.
many years.
Eons.
many years. So that's a very significant line.
Yeah, I read that line to her, and she was like, "Hold up, that's it. That's
Bye-bye.
yeah."
Close the book.
Well, and what that line is really signifying is like a sense of detachment,
Yes.
where you're able to detach from
yeah.
a past experience, and you use that experience to gain clarity of what you do prefer, but you're not so held up on that actual experience that stops you from pouring your energy in the direction that you want to go into. So it's like the past may have happened, but if you're able to use it as a stepping stone and not look back, then you're able to propel yourself towards
Right.
It's your
You
reinvention of
use-
identity.
You use the past to create more art. If you don't detach, if you stay in the past, this is called hell. And you will always know when you're doing that, because you're going to feel just like that or close to that, and you're going to find yourself in hell if you're doing that, right?
Yeah, because there's a saying that says that the future is created in the moment now.
Your future is created in your moment
It's
now.
created now.
Right.
And
Right. Well,
the-
well, hold on. Let's give context. Parallel realities. Who wants to do this? Anyway, let me think about the easiest way
it's
to
a
do
rabbit
this.
hole. Here
It's
we
a
go.
rabbit hole. Okay, so every moment that you are in is its own parallel reality with no relationship or tie to any other reality, completely separate reality now. This moment now, reality now, also contains its very own timeline. I'm going to say call it a timeline, which includes a past, present, and a future. Okay, so when you shift into a different reality, which every moment you are doing that anyway, whether you recognize that or not, you have a brand new timeline, which equals past, present, and future. I'm teaching you this language timeline because that's going to be very important if you would like to learn how to be a traveler.
right. And that's just and the way that we traverse different realities once again is through energy. Like that's literally the name of the game.
yeah, because
Right. That's the
because
basis for
energy is all that
Right.
there is. Energy is everything. Everything is energy.
the one universal language that equals truth. So
Universal language, yeah. Like that.
So manifesting teaches you that language, and the better that you're able to speak that language and navigate through reality using that language, the faster and better and more precise that you're going to get with it. And the other thing that's important, see, like I knew everything there was to know about manifesting, but I wasn't doing it all completely. Like there's always another layer of application that you can deepen, right? Like you can always
There's always more.
You can always become more one with it. That's the thing that I want people to understand, because if you say I already know the things, you are wrong. You're always going to be wrong if you say that, right? But the thing is, like, if you're not having the experience that you want, that means that you need to learn how to apply and exemplify and demonstrate what you are knowing up here more. That's the gap that's important. So when I wanted to get better at this, I recognized that, and I was like, okay, we're going to stop talking about it and we're going to be it and do it, and we'll just show myself and everybody else instead of using all my energy talking about it and explaining myself.
Verbalizing it.
We're going to redirect that energy to like exemplify and be the teaching and just focus on that. That is how I became a traveler.
But I think it's really fascinating thinking of like the power of now, because the book is talking about this concept of presence, of like removing yourself from the concept of time to begin with, the past, present, and
The
future.
timeline.
Right, because when you identify with time, when you're thinking about the past, you're like stuck and attached to it.
Right.
And then when you're stuck about the future, you create anxiety about it, or like you're obsessed with it. And it becomes like this unhealthy relationship that you have, which derail you from yourself and keeps you stuck in the particular reality that you don't want to entertain anymore.
Right. So presence is timelessness. Now, if you want to understand and learn more about this, this is what super life in my university, what is it called now?
It's
Super
just
life.
called Super Life.
The university is now called Super Life because like that's all the curriculum that we're dealing with now, because that's all that's important and relevant now is the super life, right? So if you're interested in learning more about this, that curriculum is in Super Life. That link is below.
Super.
I
I like that contradiction that you were just talking about, Tristan. That the whole aspect of the secret to time traveling is actually to detach from the concept of time.
Right. Because like okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because well, time is a prison. It's a prison.
Yeah.
And like we all want to like quantum leap or bring instantaneous results, right?
Transcend time. Yeah.
Right. And like in order to do that, you have to let go of the concept of time in order to just like focus and propel your energy in that direction and not worry of like, is it time
Time's
yet?
holding
Like,
you back.
it's been
Right.
2 days
Yeah.
since I focused on this one thing.
Right. So you create your own reality. There you go. And whatever's in here is what's appearing in your reality. So this is why you have to learn how to let realities go and not think about them and not, completely let them go. That's what that teaching is all about. Yeah. So a time traveler, someone who can quantum leap exponentially, like beyond your wildest dreams in one day, day to night. Like this is what Eckhart Tolle did. He traveled to a reality that was night and day overnight, and he just like stayed there. And that's like, I'm like, how the fuck did he do that? And so that's what we're talking about here, because I want to fucking know. And there's a very interesting thing about that I realized when I read his explanation of how he did that.
Yeah, the ironic thing is that he actually doesn't really
Remember?
understand or remember exactly how he did it, but he can describe the experience of it.
He can describe, teach from where he is now, what he remembers. But let's talk about this, right? Do we want to read? I suppose we want to read, yeah, all of the, yeah, and then we'll talk about the important things along the way.
Okay.
All right. So the first line was, I have little use for the past and rarely think about it. However, I would briefly like to tell you how I came to be a spiritual teacher and how this book came into existence. Until my 13th year, I lived in a state.
30th year.
30th. Okay, thank you. Until my 30th year, that see, to me, I'm like, that's a long time. So no, it's 13, but never mind.
That would be outstanding.
Well,
if
he
you had to
is
experience it there.
outstanding. I was hoping he'd be a prodigy, but he is a prodigy. Okay. Until my 30th year, I lived in a state of almost continuous anxiety. Wow, interspersed with periods of suicidal depression. Okay, I can relate. Who
Wow.
can relate here?
Yes.
Not suicidal,
Very
but
much.
depression.
But definitely depression. Yeah.
The anxiety and the depression
Am I
definitely.
the only one who has fantasized about suicide a lot?
Okay, I'll be honest. A little
Fantasized
bit,
is
but then,
quite a-
yeah.
There are thoughts of images, but not necessarily the.
And not
the
necessarily
desire.
images, just please, why are we doing this?
Yes,
At
like just
all?
end me
You know?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After
Yeah,
a hard
just
day,
like life sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any point here, really? Okay.
Okay,
Anyway,
yes,
But why are we
that.
suffering?
I'm bringing that up because I don't want anyone to feel like,
Alienated.
yeah, this is actually, I think, kind of a normal part of the human experience.
Especially during holidays, there's a lot of that energy.
Correct.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're going to do it, right? But that's
It's a passing thought.
it's a passing thought, and
It's a
just
human.
know
It's a
that
human symptom.
it's a symptom of human, which travelers are not human, and we'll get into that later.
Human is a limit. Prison.
It's a prison, right? So the cool thing about being a time traveler is transcending physical limitation, right? All right, so interspersed with suicidal depression, it feels now as if I'm talking about some past lifetime of someone else's life. Yes, because that's exactly what traveling is.
Extraordinarily different.
You what is the other language that we used to use? You manifest yourself into a reality where you're in a completely different life. And this is just doing it much, much faster, right? So, yes, to him, he's saying it was unrecognizable overnight. And like, wow, yes. So I do this all the time. We do this all the time, but like, it's a little more normalized for us. One night, not long after my 29th birthday, I woke up in the early hours with a feeling of absolute dread. I had woken up with such a feeling many times before, but this time it was more intense than it had ever been. The silence of the night, the vague outlines of the furniture in the dark room, the distant noise of a passing train. Everything felt so alien, so hostile, and so utterly meaningless that it created in me a deep loathing of the world. I've been here many, 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 many times,
Yeah.
and this is equal to death. Death does not have to equal physical death. This state is a state of hell, is a
The
state of
end
death.
of life. Yeah.
It is the end of life, right? So you I recognize this, that okay, and many people do, right? Like rain comes before the rainbow or whatever, and the death and life cycle that we recognize.
Right.
This is what happens before life, before you jump into a reality that equals life. If you understand, the better that you understand this, the better that you can apply it, right? What was the point in continuing to live with this burden of misery? Why carry on with this continuous struggle? I could feel that a deep longing for annihilation, for non existence, was now becoming much stronger than the instinctive desire to continue to live. This is just part of the cycle. Like, I'm still experiencing, I don't know if there's an end to this, but like, I'm still experiencing that everything happens in cycles. So, this is part of that cycle. So, he had the thought, I cannot live with myself any longer.
Yeah. He's reached like a rock bottom, and he's like, God, this can't be any more horrible.
What? This isn't real. Yeah,
Nightmare. Yeah.
this isn't real. But he didn't have the teachings that we have about manifesting. So this line, I cannot live with myself any longer, is extremely important because this is where he says his awakening began. So I cannot live with myself any longer. This was the thought that kept repeating itself in my mind. Then suddenly I became aware of what a particular thought it was. Am I one or two? If I cannot live with myself, there must be two of me, and the I and the self that I cannot live with. Maybe, I thought, only one of them is real. That is fucking genius, and that's exactly what we teach in manifesting, right?
Yeah. This realization that he was kind of talking to himself, and then he stepped back and looked at that and said, "Is there two of me, or am I one, or
Mhm.
huh?"
So
Let's look
I'm
at this deeper.
I'm going to get really multidimensional here because this is what you recognize when you become, like what I say, time traveler, okay? So
Mhm.
here's the thing is that, I've of course coached and dealt with many, 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 many people in my life, many, 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 okay? So the fact that this man came to this conclusion and he had no spiritual training at all, like he did not have that context and he did this, like it can't happen. It's impossible. I'll tell you what did happen.
especially with the like state that he was in. Like it was
Right. It's
complete
impossible.
psychotic.
It's impossible. So what happened is there's a few different things that happened. Is that he did actually die. That version of him died. And then the new version was born here. I cannot live with myself any longer. Now, that's number one. Number two is that every reality that every all realities exist at once. There is no time. So everything is already interplaying. So I kind of describe this with the infinity symbol. Okay. So one side of the infinity symbol is the past lives, you could say, multiple lives, which don't exist in time. They actually exist now. They
Everywhere.
all exist now and they all interplay now. And another book that describes this very well, but is a difficult read, is Seth Speaks. One of his books, The Validity of the Soul, describes this concept. Okay. So one side of the infinity symbol is the past lives, let's say, and one side is the future, let's say. So what's happening is that old version died, became old, and then a new was born in that moment. And this information comes from a life that he's already lived, but he doesn't know this like consciously. So he's having that. He is being the happy beneficiary of that information without realizing how that is
Without
happening.
having all the past
Yes.
experiences of it.
Right. So what I'm doing is I'm making all of this as conscious as I possibly can. And it's actually coming together really well. I find myself really understanding like where everything is coming from. Like I notice downloading intelligences and skills and all kinds of things that I've never had before. But I'm not saying like, wow, I don't know where that came from. There's a little bit more context there and more all the time.
No, I think it's interesting because like I had a similar experience when I dealt with depression like the second time, and I was able to recognize that that depressive state was not me, but it took me like a long time to get to that point where I was I was just decaying. Like I was not moving. I was just stuck at home, did not want to do anything, and I had to ask myself like, is this who I am? Because this is not me whatsoever. And I did detach from it, but I wouldn't say that that was like a spiritual awakening. It was like kind of a partial realization of like my true authenticity, but to a distinct point. Like I didn't experience that sort of depth.
Yeah, I think for most examples, it probably happens in like stages or like baby steps. And
Mhm.
apparently, in Eckhart Tolle's situation, this shit just came to a head and then it just happened all at once, kind of like the Big Bang or whatever.
Right.
They're closing. So why don't we like take the computer and like move this out there
Okay.
and we'll clean up and we can just kind of do it all at the same time.
Got
Cool. All right, I got the microphone.
Okay, so
Well,
I
you
think
got
I'll
the
do a little
microphone?
more teaching and you guys like organize everything maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to move to another room and then continue this conversation. Why don't you make yourself comfortable? Oh, my phone. Thank you. Okay, so we're actually at like the one hotel in New York. It's super beautiful. Check this out. There's a couch there. We should do it on a couch. That way we can all be in the frame. Is there a way for all of us to be in the frame?
Well, there's a couch over there, but it's not like there's not enough lighting.
Okay, so how do we get all of us in the frame here? Maybe sit around the corner and then create. Okay. Cool.
Probably. I think we should be here because
There. Okay.
So let's.
I feel like I want to move this. I feel like that's in my way.
You just need one more chair.
Okay, I can't see the frame. Okay. Okay. Yes, it's there. Okay. Got it. So one of the things that I did along my way, like going from like manifesting to actually being what I call a traveler, is I kind of realized that um, being on the top of the mountain is a very lonely place to be, and that's where I kept finding myself, and I hated that. I was like, stop it. How do we make that stop? Because I was like, I don't want to. This is all very cool to know about, but like, I don't want to do this all by myself. Like, I want to do this like with people, right? And so what I did as part of my traveling is I created fellow travelers to do it with me, and this is a lot more fun, and it's a lot more efficient, and it's a lot more purposeful, and it's allows for a more optimized life. And the way that this ties into your SP situation, if you have that, because a lot of you guys following me do, is that super life, the idea essentially is sync. How to create a reality that syncs up with your intentions, your true desires, right? And how to essentially like weed out everything that is not aligned with what you truly want. And so this is how your ideal relationships are created. And again, that's at the heart of super life. So that it is relevant to everything that you want. That's why I created the teaching. It just seems at this point out there, but like everybody wants superpowers. Everybody wants, how do I, wake up and it's all different? Like, this is what that is.
Right, because like all of us wants more clarity, more understanding, how to traverse like our life experiences, like how to live the best life possible. And it's like if you're here, you know that there is an answer to those questions. You know that there is an answer somewhere, somehow. And where it really comes at the heart of super life is you're mending the relationship with yourself so that you understand yourself to such a depth that like you're able to be very selective and specific about what your life should be comprised of. And by putting your attention and focus on that, you allow the energy to now funnel in that direction. And when you follow that energy to at every single moment throughout the bridge of events, like you'll start to see the changes and the things will start to appear. All the right people will show up, all the right opportunities, and it will be like this mystifying like experience in which like now there's more harmony that's being curated throughout your entirety of your life experience. So like time traveling is just like a term that we're using that denotes this pristine amount of focus and practice and intentionality that allows you to live out this experience moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year,
You're
till a
super
lifetime.
excited talking about it. I love it.
So,
So I think in human time, how long ago has it been since I kidnapped you and saved you from humandom and mediocrity?
so it's been 3 weeks.
Oh my god. We're not going to try to explain everything that's happened. But
Only 3 weeks?
Yes, it only been 3
I know.
weeks.
This is the thing. Is like time is totally different when you're a traveler. So how long do I think it's been? I think it's been like, it feels like, what I mean is it feels like at least a month and a half in human time to me. However, the amount of things that we have achieved since then, definitely lifetimes.
Well, actually, I feel like it's been like 3 to 4 months, like since that
Yeah.
experience. But like we
Yeah.
have lived countless different lifetimes, different experiences, because
Countless.
even throughout like
Infinite.
those 3 weeks, like there was new revelations, new experiences,
Characters.
yeah, new characters. Like,
Casualties.
we're not gonna get into that.
The casualties are energetic, not
Yes.
physical.
But like casualties in the sense that they were opportunities for even more growth and more refinement, because
Right,
like every
yeah.
challenge is an opportunity, and it's just like as you're in this energetic journey, the point is that energy first, physicality second. That's like the only way that the
Right,
schematic can
right.
ever work.
So I've had to like recalculate myself, reprogram myself a number of times as I was figuring that out and trying to operate, because I already thought I was operating that way and I was not. Like, when it comes to like the amount of precision that where I was manifesting myself into requires me to have, right? So also the more powerful of a manifester that you become, the faster that you manifest things, and you start to run into a lot of problems if you're not being precise enough. And so that's like a clear indication that like, whew, I need some training. Okay, like we need to get this down. We need to dial this in. And so the process of me like learning that, wow, I suck, and like figuring out how to do it better, that's a very, very, very important process that I had to like, completely reprogram myself a number of times to get it right.
Right. And it's like it's such a cool thing that we're using the power now as like a case study, because like presence is normally the fundamental.
Necessary.
Yeah, it's the fundamental tool.
And we have been really like trying to impress that upon everyone. Please do this, because nobody wants to do it because they're like, where's my person after all? Like, is this even working? Is this thing on? And we're like, trust me, presence. Right. So again, it's all in Super Life. The curriculum is there.
Right. So it's like presence equals timelessness, which means that you collapse all notion of time, which allows you to now traverse anywhere that you want, which means I think you're a time traveler, right?
Say it again.
Well, once you access this mode called presence, which is timelessness, you collapse all notion of time.
Yes.
Which means,
and then you become a traveler. Yes. So the problem is not that you're not a traveler, because you already are. Everyone is. There's just levels of being able to create, like being able to stick to that timeline. Like, it's kind of like, how primarily or dominantly are you able to do that? So like everyone enters these states, but like they come out of it more than not, right? And so like what we're teaching is how to stick to that timeline where you're powerful and in alignment with your intentions, and you can create the experience that you want.
Right. And like still being in your power even if you enter a reality that is not preferred because you know how to get out.
You know how to get out. That's what I got really good at. I became fucking Houdini. Like I could get out of any fucking reality. Like I did whatever it took, and like that was a fun game at the time. Sometimes also not fun because every reality then would turn into fucking hell, and but that's why I would break out of it, right? But that's what you need to know. Which Eckhart Tolle somehow like it just happened, blah blah blah, right? It's gonna happen no matter what. That's what you need to know. Um, one way or another, you know. That's all I'm saying is just because you are in a reality doesn't mean there's no way out. Okay, so I guess we'll continue here. I was so stunned by the strange realization that my mind stopped. I was fully conscious. Okay, this is important because the man has made the connection that when you stop the mind, this equals consciousness, which is what I've been teaching for a billion years. Okay. and you can access many hours of those videos in Super Life or freaking on YouTube, whatever. But okay, the man has done it. Here it is. When mind stopped, that equals fully conscious. Okay. But there were no more thoughts. Right. Then I felt drawn into what seemed like a vortex of energy, which I call magnetism. It is a physical sensation. I was then, wait, it was a, where the fuck am I at? Hold on, let me see.
So
It was a slow movement at first and then accelerated. The man is teaching what I call momentum. Okay. I was gripped by an intense fear and my body started to shake. Now that seems from left field, but I think all of us can relate to, wow, something amazing is happening and all of a sudden you're gripped by fear. Okay, great. I heard the words, resist nothing. Now, that is key because this equals what we call acceptance, and it allows you to transcend whatever may come, whatever you're at, whatever's going on, okay? So, like, the thing I want you to know about this is that just because there is a presence that is obviously something unwanted, not ideal, just because there's a presence of negative emotion or experience, doesn't mean that that has to be the thing that is directing where you find yourself next. That's very important, okay? So I heard the words resist nothing as if spoken inside my chest. I could feel myself being sucked into a void. Now, void is good because void is presence, okay?
it's a blank canvas. It's a blank canvas.
Yeah. It felt as if the void was inside myself rather than outside. Now, he keeps saying that. Do you know why he keeps saying that? Because reality is not around you, it is in you. And somehow the man has taught that as well, without any training at all. Without any training that he remembers.
Right.
It felt as if the void was inside me. Suddenly, there was no more fear, and I let myself fall into the void. I have no recollection of what happened after that. All right. So, what I'm saying is that this man does, in fact, have training. He has learned all of this shit. He's a fucking master. He just doesn't remember it because it's another reality or timeline. Okay. So, here's the thing is that you are all of these things. You're a traveler, you have lived infinite lives, you have access to infinite intelligence, you've already done every fucking possible thing. Like you've done it all. You're fucking God, okay? You're God. Now, you are the happy beneficiary of everything that you've ever done. You're the happy beneficiary of that, whether you know it or not. All right? So that's what's happening to him, is he's benefiting from the fact that he's God. And that transference of knowledge and energy is happening seemingly spontaneous. He can't fucking remember how or why. But that's what it is. And everyone has equal access to that. And as a traveler myself, I understand how it works. And what I noticed is that when I would fall into despair, complete despair, death, hell, whatever it is, I, somewhere in the back of my mind, program myself to know that everything is going perfectly and I'm going to get everything that I fucking want. And it's playing out right now, even though I have no way of knowing that. Somewhere back in my mind, I just programmed myself to know that. And it happened every fucking time. And I was saved every time. And it just got better and better and better, no matter what the hell I fucking did. Although there's rules and you always do your best, etc., etc. But that's what's happening to him. Okay, so the fact that when I read this and I said, whoa, I have no recollection of what happened after that. What the? I can't. I'm going to highlight that a lot, okay? Hold on. Give me a second. I have no recollection of what happened after that. Okay. Now, the man is a traveler. And what happened is something did happen after that, obviously, okay? He can't remember it. He doesn't remember. This is the gap that I'd like to fill in. Because I like to know what is going on and to be oriented and be level-headed. And I like to, I don't like when there's gaps in my experience. And so I have done a very good job of being able to keep myself, I guess what you call sober, aware, so there's no fucking gaps. Now, so I basically haven't allowed gaps to happen. Unless if I say, yeah, forget that, let's do that, okay? But this happens to people regularly and they just have no explanation for it. He entered a reality. What happened is he entered a reality where he completely understood all of what happened, and then he made an agreement to forget this and return to this reality without whatever knowledge that was. So he decided to create a gap. I'm not doing that. I'm doing the opposite. And I don't really understand exactly why humans in this reality are making that decision, because it happens with near-death experiences as well. They come back and they're like, something happened, I don't remember everything. I don't have that information, but I remember that there was information there. I just don't have it, or I'm not able to tell, or I'm not allowed to tell, or whatever it is. I don't know why the fuck people are, I don't know why. And so this is very important because, the question that people are having in physical reality that you had, which is like, I know what I know now spiritually, but like, how do I make sure that like I'm always going to know this? Like, how do I bring it down into form? How do I marry this with physical reality? And this is how you stop creating fucking gaps, okay? So the only reason why it's like relevant to create a gap is if something is so painful that you're fixating on it and you literally can't move on unless if you forget it. I don't know why. Maybe that's why he did that. I don't know. But I've been able to create a loophole or a way to like create like a timeline that equals like less and less and less and less and less gaps in my conscious awareness of like how I got to where I got to. Because I think it's very important, obviously, to know and be able to teach and share that, in order to bring heaven to earth. So yeah, I think that's the point that I wanted to make about that. The man is a traveler, but he's not choosing to experience or share that in the way that I am. Okay.
Yeah, when you have a big ass gap in your timeline. That's not as many like realities that you actually, have
conscious,
recollection
deliberate
of
access to.
experiencing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't access that information anymore in that way. Yeah, so there's gaps and you can't connect. Yeah, disconnect.
Yeah. So like having less gaps is, ultimately having a more seamless timeline and, more
Less confusion, more clarity.
information, more clarity on your entire existence.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, it sucks to not know. Like, why? Like, don't do that. Let's create like consistency and clarity, please. And understanding and all of that. Yeah.
But I think what it is it's really the fact that like all that is and the infinite intelligence of um, all energy and all existentialism is just so difficult to bring um, to give good explanation to with words in the human experience.
Okay.
To use language to describe it is just, it falls short every single time.
I understand. Okay, so
But you are very good at
right.
explaining so much.
I understand why he did that now. So the thing is, with power comes responsibility. So knowledge is power. So if whatever he came back and remembered, he would have a great responsibility to then share whatever that is and bridge that gap for people. And that is an enormous task that I guess no one is taking on.
He wrote a whole book. We'll get more into the book and discover just like how close he came to doing that.
Yeah, well, I understand the gap now. The gap is like I have a fucking mission and I'm doing it. Yeah.
You're filling the gap for
That's-
Eckhart Tolle.
Well, no, not for Eckhart Tolle, for every fucking one who's not doing what I'm doing. It's an enormous task.
Gotcha.
So I decided to do that. Yeah, that was my decision.
Nice. I like it. As soon as she read that first line, she was like, "Hey, that's it. Okay, we're on a mission here. We got our new thing."
Yeah, so that's the reason that I live now instead of like I should have been dead like a million infinity times over. Like even one time, like
But you're a fucking assassin, and you're just still here
you
killing
saw
it.
me almost die. You were there. Like my neck, I shouldn't have survived that accident at all, and I was perfectly fine. And I walked out of there, and I was very surprised.
She's a little ninja.
About that. I was like, why am I alive? My God. So, anyways. I'm alive because I've decided to prioritize mission. That is why, and I've decided to do this. Yeah.
The powers that be won't let her die.
They won't let me die, and I could never figure it out. But
until
now
you complete your mission.
I could never figure out why
Just to
would
fill in this gap.
So it's interesting because I understand my past as actually like past lives entirely. Yeah. So okay. I have no recollection of what happened after that. I was awakened by the chirping of a bird outside the window. I've never heard such a sound before. My eyes were still closed, and I saw the image of a precious diamond, which tier 3 is called the diamond life, and that's a huge symbolism that we use in our reality.
Yeah, he's describing immense beauty.
The way that, yes, he is. The way that love the reason I love that symbolism is because the diamond is made by like the crystallization of many, many, many facets. Facets represent something that is one unto itself, a seemingly one unit, right? Separate unit. However, like the crystallization of these great many things creates this one perfect diamond. And that's super life. That's the reality that we're traveling to.
It's a very, very, very dense, energy packed thing.
Perfect. Packed perfection. Ooh, crystallized. Ooh, yeah.
It demonstrates multi-dimensionality, essentially.
Yeah.
So, like, every angle of a diamond is like its own pristine
reality, timeline, yeah.
And that's essentially us.
Yeah. That's like sync, right? Super light. My eyes were still closed, and I saw the image of a precious diamond. Yes, if a diamond could make a sound, this is what it would be like. I opened my eyes. The first light of dawn was filtering through the curtains. Without any thought, so the man is still not having thought. I knew that that there is infinitely more to light than we realize. So what he's saying here is that he suddenly had access to intelligence and genius that he doesn't recall ever
That he
having
never had
access
to
to before in his human timeline. Immaculate conception of genius. Yes, that's what I've been teaching for a billion years. Okay.
Who doesn't like that?
Who doesn't like that? And this happened overnight. This is possible, right? Infinitely more light. That soft luminosity filtering through the curtains was love itself. Yes. So what I call bubble love that I've been teaching on, and this dimension of reality, I've been teaching exactly these things. He woke up in a dimension called love. Um, Bubble love, what I call bubble love, or life-gasm, right? Really, it's life-gasm because bubble love, to me, is surrounding like a love situation. However, life-gasm is not. It's general, right? So he woke up.
Love for everything in life. Yeah.
Right, general. So he woke up in a dimension that equals love, and now he's translating everything through that perspective.
Yeah, he went to sleep in like a state of like absolute dread, was in rock bottom, and then after this experience that he doesn't even really remember, he woke up into the complete equal and opposite experience of love and heaven. So quite a quantum leap from rock bottom to a love.
Symbol, right? There's always an equal and opposite. And what I've been teaching for a billion years is that if you can experience something bad, the equal and opposite also exists, and you can quantum leap there overnight.
Right over there, yeah.
Tears came into my eyes. I got up and walked around the room. I recognized the room, and yet I knew that I had never truly seen it before. Everything was fresh and pristine, as if it had just come into existence. I picked up things, a pencil, an empty bottle, marveling at the beauty and aliveness of it all. I can completely relate. Can we all?
Yeah, I've
relate?
had that experience
Isn't that
before.
just
It's
heaven?
amazing.
That's just a depiction of like what heaven would feel like, where
Heaven does feel like, which heaven is here, and so is hell.
right, like where the most mundane thing
Are a work of art.
Is everything. Yeah. One simple thing is just everything.
and this is also a demonstration of sync. We
Yes.
are able to see the beauty and value in all things.
Right. So our group, we pretty much consistently exist in, what do I call this dimension now? We pretty much exist in love. And when you exist in love, it is also a telepathic world that I call sync. Telepathy is not what humans ordinarily depict it to be at all. It's much more seamless and transcends language. So I call it sync, right? So everyone who exists in a reality that you could call love, you could also call it heaven, you could call it, yeah.
They're all synced up
They're all
with each other.
synced. They're all synced up telepathically, right? Automatically. So that's that. That day, I walked around the city in utter amazement at the miracle of life on Earth, because he woke up in a reality where heaven is now on Earth. As if I had just been born into this world. Oh, look, actually, you did just be born into a new world, because it's a completely new world now. It's not the same world at all. So he's recognizing this is a completely different universe. but he doesn't understand it consciously, which we do. That's manifesting. Yeah, that's what we learn in manifesting. For the next 5 months, I lived in a state of uninterrupted deep peace and bliss. So he maintained that lifegasm for 5 months. After that, it diminished. This word is incorrect, okay? This is I'll tell you what it really is, but after that, it diminished somewhat in intensity. Or perhaps it just seemed because it became my natural state. Right. So he's also having the recognition of what we call normalizing. The state has now been normalized. Why does that happen? Why does the intensity diminish? Because now
It's his new normal.
it's time for a new level of the game that you're creating.
Where you constantly just
More.
integrate.
There's always more.
Yes.
So this normalization is really just integrating that state where it's like it's no longer taking pristine focus to maintain being in presence. It's just
Right.
like it's as simple as breathing.
It's automated now.
Yeah.
It's automated, and you can now focus on whatever the next reality is that you would like to teleport yourself into. I could still function in the world, although I realized that nothing I ever did could possibly add anything to what I already had. So he's saying this because he just keeps having these recognitions of what is different about this world that in his memory was like, yeah, what used to be and now it's this, you know? So he's like integrating the new reality. Because I could still function in the world, although I realized that nothing I ever did could possibly add anything to what I already had. This is key.
He had it all. He woke up and realized that he had it all, and that none of the riches in the world would really change that at the end of the day.
So that's the definition of enlightenment. And so when you're enlightened, which is a state that you can enter at any moment in time, that is the state that allows you to travel to wherever you like.
Yes.
Or translation? Travel?
Quantum leap.
It's quantum leap, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Quantum leap. I knew, of course, that something profoundly significant had happened to me, but I didn't understand it at all. It wasn't until several years later, after I had read spiritual texts and spent time with spiritual teachers, that I realized what everybody was looking for had already happened to me. I understood that the intense pressure of suffering. Oh, wait, that's a different thing. We're going to stop right here. Hold on. So I realized that what everybody was looking for had already happened to me. Right. So he did it backwards. Okay. Ordinarily, what people do is they read the spiritual texts and essentially they're collecting the mental points of reference that they need to understand, like the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hop into the experience. He did it backwards, right? So he had no idea what was going on. And then later he had to collect, which is what you're doing. Later he had to collect the mental points of reference to mentally understand the experience that he had, right? So I did it the other way, you could say. I spent my life reading the spiritual texts and understanding that, and then having the points of reference, and then jump into the reality. That's what a lot of people are doing. So what I see as I walk around and talk to people is that they're already having the experience that they want in many, many, many ways, but because they don't have the mental points of reference to understand that, they're not.
There's gaps there. Yeah,
They're not understanding that they're having that experience. So we're trying to provide the mental points of reference that people need so that they can navigate their reality and decide. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is all about recognition.
Recognition. It's about recognition. Yes. Recognition is a characteristic of love, heaven.
I mean, this entire video is actually about that concept because it's like we're talking about time travel, where like it's but the way that you guys perceive it is about manifestation, shape
Mhm.
shifting. Yeah, so we're just like recognizing it on a much deeper level.
This is what you've been asking for. Okay. So I understood that there's needs to be context here. So he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he knows that. He's describing it the best that he can. So this is his story about what happened. I understood. I really admire the meek shall inherit the world. I really admire his transparency.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read the rest of this book. We just got started in it.
Yeah, most people are unable to be
It's gonna
this
be
transparent. So in this reality, if you want to be in this reality, the first rule of engagement is transparency and honesty. And because he is upholding like that standard, that's why he's able to exist in this world. And his ability, so that's like the conversation that must have happened where that he has no recollection of, right? So he gets to exist in this world, and if you exist in this world, then you get to offer other people the opportunity to do it too. It's a
Which is the most amazing gift you can give to another person.
but it's also like his duty. This memory, this experience, you have a duty to share it and uphold like that for the world. If you don't, you fall out of it. So he's
Yeah,
agreed
because
to do
that's
that.
not in alignment with love. That would be acting against the very
Right.
state that you
Right.
say that you love.
So his duty is to be transparent, and he fucking is. He is. So I understood that the intense pressure of suffering that must have forced. See, he uses the word must because this is him saying, I have no idea what I'm saying, like talking about, but this must be what it is. Like probability is what I think, right? I understood that the intense pressure of suffering that night must have forced my consciousness to withdraw from its identification. Identification is important with the unhappy and deeply fearful self, which is ultimately a fiction of the mind. So he does know what he's talking about, right? But
He used to be identified with that part of his mind that was unhappy and deeply fearful. He realized that that's not him. So
right.
he was making a mistake of identifying with something that wasn't real.
So this is the difference that I'm saying about like let's say the traveler that he is versus the traveler that I am is he doesn't know that he knows it, and I do because I remember, right? That's what you want. You want to know because you remember, you know? It's really cool and awesome and beautiful. Like, this is a very creative reality that he's created where he's teaching correctly without realizing how, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This withdrawal must have been so complete that this false suffering self immediately collapsed, just as if a plug had been pulled out of an inflatable toy. Now, what's happening to me right now is like I have the ability to experience multiple realities at once, and I understand very deeply that they all interplay and intermingle all at the same time. So that's called omnipresence.
Everything all at once.
Right. And so each reality is its own perspective, each reality is its own valid perspective. They're all valid. And yet they all see there's no time and space, but like so I'm trying to like describe this in a way that a person can understand, and I have to use words to do that.
Well, let's put it this way. We can look at this doll and perceive it as a doll, but then we can also look at the color of this doll and realize that
There's a color.
there's a
That's
color
one
to it.
thing. Yeah.
So
And there's a there's placement to the color. It's not all everywhere.
Right.
It's
So
not
you're
throughout.
able to see different details of this doll that helps you describe it, and that's essentially the same way that you recontextualize
Diamond.
Yeah. So it's like
Diamond.
looking at a diamond and the different facets that make
Facets
up that
within.
diamond.
Right. And the closer that you look at, you were describing this about the human brain, were you not? No, I heard this somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but that's funny.
What is it?
Hold on, I don't remember
Tell.
something. God damn it, that's not the case. Hold on. Who's on my hit list now? Hold on. Who's doing that? Sorry, hold on. Time. Time is doing that. Okay.
Yes, you heard that correctly. She has a hit list over here.
You're dying tonight. Okay,
Fine.
this is your end. Your end. Like I'm
Out of
ending you.
context.
I'm
No one
fucking
knows what this
sorry.
means.
Different reality. Different. Sorry. So
Yeah, I was thinking about it like there is infinite perspectives that you can have on a thing. You know, just like a diamond has so many facets. There's so many perspectives of any particular reality that ultimately, like the entire existence of all the parallel realities and everything existing all at once, it comes back around full circle
it
to
comes
what you were
full
just talking
circle.
about.
Infinity symbol. Yes. Yeah. So there's moments where like I'm not going to say must. There's moments where it's ideal to be so fully immersed in what you're doing that you do forget about every other world. That's ideal. But like when you zoom back out of that, like then you want to like be able to access this reality where like deliberately, you want to be able to deliberately do this. And this is what I can do. This is what the nature of a traveler, let's say. You have the ability to say like, okay, like the Matrix, okay, dial in the phone, I want to do this, and then you go there and it happens, right? So you want to be able to zoom out to a reality where there's no gaps and you retain full memory of the thing, of your life, of your timeline. Yeah. So let's see, why are we stopping here? Hold on.
What is describing there is ego death. That he was able to wake up into a state where
How long have we been
his
doing
his
this?
false
Hold on,
self.
sorry. How long? Sorry, human time.
About an
What-
hour.
Human time. An hour? Oh, that's my limit. Okay. It needs to be just an hour. Okay, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I can fucking go on forever, but
Right.
we're gonna stop. Okay.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Love you. Bye. You know what? If this has helped you and you want, like, you think that other people should get this, fucking share it. Thank you. Love you. Bye.